All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're tackling a massive and pretty provocative idea about where humanity is ultimately headed. It's a big theological concept, so we're going to break it down piece by piece.
So, the whole thing we're looking at today kicks off with this giant question, right? It's really the question at the heart of everything. What is our ultimate destiny? Where are we as a species actually going? And here's the core concept, the main idea, something called the man God. Now, hold on, this isn't about humanity literally becoming the ultimate God. No, the idea is that it's more of a natural evolution, a final form that we're heading towards, with powers that, from where we're standing right now, would seem totally godlike.
So, what does this whole man God thing really mean? Well, it all boils down to a very specific role humanity is supposedly meant to play.
So, the framework for this idea comes from an Islamic term khalifa, which means vice regent. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a governor who acts on behalf of a king, right? That governor has incredible authority, they wield the king's power, but they are not the king. And according to this argument, that's the position humanity is slowly but surely moving toward. Okay, and this is where it gets wild. This is where the whole idea jumps from, abstract philosophy straight into what sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. The argument is that this role isn't just some fancy title, it comes with real, tangible, godlike powers. We're talking about the ability to geotransform planets, to completely reshape them and make them livable, and even achieving medical breakthroughs so advanced they could basically conquer death itself. This isn't seen as magic, though. It's presented as the natural endpoint of our development. All right, moving on. A pivotal turning point, the catalyst for modernity. So, how did this whole incredible journey even start? Well, the argument we're examining says it wasn't some random accident. It was kicked off by one single massive turning point in human history that changed everything.
But to really get why this turning point was so important, you have to see what the situation was like before it happened. The argument points to this long stretch of time, about 2,000 years, between the arrival of Jesus and Muhammad. And during that period, it suggests that the people of Arabia, specifically, they were lost. They were in what's called a clear error, without a divine messenger to guide them. So this is the moment, the arrival of the Prophet Muhammad. According to this view, his mission was a total game changer. It wasn't just for one tribe or one people, it was meant for all of humanity. It laid down a whole new foundation, one built on the simple but powerful principle of seeking out the truth. And that, the argument goes, is what fundamentally shifted the entire course of history. And listen, the claim being made here is, it's huge. It's incredibly bold. The argument is that if you actually trace back the origins of our modern world, I'm talking about things like scientific research, political science, our understanding of democracy, even the very idea of human rights, that the source code for all of it can be found in the foundation that was laid back at this one historical turning point. Okay, next section, knowledge without wisdom, a cautionary tale. But, and this is a huge but, this whole grand destiny isn't a sure thing. There's a major catch, a really powerful warning at the heart of this whole idea. And it's this: just having knowledge, even if it's sacred knowledge from a holy book, is not even close to being enough. And to really hammer this point home, the argument uses this incredible metaphor from the Quran. It says that having access to all the books and all the knowledge in the world, but failing to get the wisdom out of it, is like being a donkey carrying a library on its back, right? You're just lugging around this heavy load, totally oblivious to the incredible treasure you're carrying. This all leads to a really sharp contrast between two very different paths, two missions humanity could take. On one side, you've got what's called a mission of self-preservation. Think of a termite colony. Its only purpose is to protect and grow its own colony, and that's it. But on the other side, you have a universal mission, and that's a mission for the good of all creation, not just humans, but animals, plants, the entire universe. So that brings us to our next section, recognizing the truth, a practical framework. Okay, so if wisdom is the real key here, how are we supposed to find it? Well, the argument doesn't just point out the problem. It actually offers a practical, step-by-step framework for learning how to recognize what's true. And it boils down to this 4-step test. Step 1, demand evidence. Don't just believe something because someone said so. Make them prove it. Step 2, avoid wishful thinking. This is tough.
You have to be super honest with yourself and not let what you want to be true cloud your judgment. Step 3 is maybe the hardest. Overcome cognitive dissonance. You have to be brave enough to face truths that make you uncomfortable, truths that might even shatter your current beliefs. And finally, within this specific theological framework, the ultimate litmus test is to compare any new idea against the core principles laid out in the Quran. And really, this is the main takeaway. This is the bottom line. True progress, whether it's for you as an individual or for all of humanity on this epic journey, it all comes down to one single fundamental skill: the ability to see the truth, and just as important, to accept it, especially when it's difficult. And so this whole explainer leaves us with one final big question to chew on. While this source gives us one very specific path, the challenge it presents is universal, right? We live in a world that is just drowning in information, in data, in knowledge. So the question for all of us is, how do we make that journey from just knowing a bunch of stuff to actually becoming wise?